Clarice, and today we are going to do a tutorial on how to do loose eucalyptus leaves. I'm super excited to show you this because I feel it's a very simple tutorial and it's all a matter of using the right colors to get that effect that you're kind of looking for. So just to start off right away and tell you what I'm using my Canson paper, watercolor paper. I will be using my silver black velvet in the 4, and I will also use the Princeton 8, and I'm keeping my other brushes on standby, so if I do end up using them, I will definitely make mention of them. And for colors, we are using a combination of Daniel Smith and White Nights, St. Petersburg. I'll be using the yellowish green from the White Nights, and also the Azure, which is like a dark bluish gray sort of color. And I have some pre-mixed quinacridone rose from Daniel Smith, so I'll be using that for certain highlights. You'll see exactly how I'm going to incorporate that in. So let's just begin. To start off, I will be using the number 4 to do the stem. And what I am going to do is I will mix the Azure on a palette here so we can see the variation. I know I have some sort of pink on there. I'm okay with it kind of blending in if it does. And I'm just taking some of the green on this side, and I'm just going to keep these colors handy. And just so you can see how I'm doing this. Alright, so to begin, we are going to start off by doing the stem, as I mentioned. So I want to make sure I have a nice amount of water on my brush, and I'm just going to do a stem. Hold on, let me just move everything, make sure there's a clear view for you guys. And we'll just start off like that. And now once I have that, I'm just going to use the same brush, and I'm going to start doing the little leaves. So I'm doing smaller leaves at the top, and then I'm just doing the more bigger leaves at the bottom. And what I'm also doing is, as I'm going along, I'm just dipping my brush in the blue and then laying it down onto my sheet here. Then I'm also getting water, and I am just creating, I just washed off most of the color, and I'm getting some nice lighter hues of the leaves, and I just want them to be very light, so like from dark to light, and kind of bigger leaves as we go along. And I'm actually going to swipe off some color from here and just add it at the tips of these, and then just add it here as well, and have them flare out nicely. Doing the same thing here. And these are quite easy to do because it's just a repetition of the same shape over and over again, and just getting the right colors in. I'm just adding a dark tint at the edges of these leaves where they connect on the stem. And then once I have that, what I'm going to do is just go and get more of the blue and do a more solid line in the center. And wherever I see areas that could use some fixing. I'm just going to use my number 8 and kind of get more color flowing so it doesn't look too harsh edged. And then finally now I'm going to get some of the pink quinacridone rose, and I'm just going to add a tad bit in certain areas. And I love the effect that it kind of gives. Just add some over here on this dark one. And then, you know what, why stop at the pink? Try some purple if you want as well. So I'm just going to add some purple here as well. Adding it as a hint on the edge of the leaves. Now this one is clearly dried up already, so can't do much there. But what we can do is now I'm just going to take off all the color on my brush, and I'm just going to do something like this, adding water to the edge, oops, and just have the color flow. And you could probably see it best on this one here. And just have the color flow so it almost looks like it's dancing on the sheet of paper. Same thing here. I'm just having the color bleed out just to kind of have that. These are the only ones that are actually damp. Let me see if there's any dampness here. So any areas where you see are damp, just add some color on the outside and kind of give the water, add some water, and then you'll see the color bleed out, and immediately give the water some direction so then it can flow. That's essentially what I am trying to do here. So once this is done, let's just do another one now just to quickly go over what I did. So again, I'm using my blue. And I want to make sure that my brush is nice and damp, and I have a good enough amount of blue, and I'm going to do a stroke like this. And now once I have that, I'm going to get some of the blue, and I'm going to start adding leaves. And as you're adding leaves, just kind of dip your brush in the water. And as you're painting them, leave some white space if you can. And then you're just making the brush, the leaf strokes a lot bigger as you go along. And keep going. Different organic round shapes will give you some nice results. For the end result at least. Then you keep going. I've added some green here, as you can see. I'm just going to add some green at the tip as well. So it gives you a nice like hue, almost like a gradient effect going from blue to green. And keep going. And now I've just kind of taken off a lot of the color from my brush, and it's just mainly water because I want it to be super light at the bottom. And then I'm just gonna kind of taper off by doing that. And now once I have that, I'm just gonna go in, get some of that blue and add it at the center so it can kind of nicely bleed into the leaves and give a nice dark hue. So it's important that the amount of color and water ratio that you have for these leaves is just right so that when you're done the whole stem, it's still damp enough that you can add some of these highlights at the tip of the leaves. So just keep that in mind and you're good to go. Now this time I didn't end up using the number 8, but you can totally switch for the sake of, you know, making sure that you have enough time between brushes and strokes. So I'm adding my pinks here and there. See, this was clearly dried up already, but that's okay. I'm just going to add my pink in anyways. And I'll add some pink here. And some here at the tip. And just wherever it's damp. And now once that's done, we can try and do our flow of the leaves, but I don't see a lot of dampness happening here. I'll try with the pink. There might be some with the pink. Yep, there is a very tiny amount. So just move the water around there. But I'm not getting that great of flow, so it's okay. I could always, nope, there's no color on here. So we could we could just leave it as is. Or another option is just do a few watermarks on here by flicking your brush. So I'm using my number 8, and I've just taken a tad bit of the blue, and I'm just going to flick it onto this area. Now, the bigger the brush, the bigger the splatter spots. So just kind of go around and get it done. And then once I have that, I'm going to take my number 4 and I'm going to get some of my pink. I'm going to get some of my pink and splatter some pink on here. There we go. I want less pink, more of the blue. So now that I have some pink on here, I'm just going to go ahead and get more of the blue, like a nice potent color. So I got some straight from the cake pan, and there we go. And then just leave it at that. And we're good. So we have a nice pretty pattern happening over here. And we can almost stop at this or just continue. And I am feeling I want to do one more because I like to do mine in 3s. And as I've heard a lot of you guys mention, you like to watch me do it repetitively so you can kind of continue along and learn. So here goes, number 3. So this one I will do, what direction should I do? I can just do one kind of out this way. Right, so let me just make sure this area is, so we're doing our line first, our stem. And then once we have that, we are getting our colors and very lightly kind of just holding your brush like midway, just lightly do the leaves. So the more often you do these and dipping in water as you go along, the more often or the more repetition you execute while doing these, I guess is what I'm trying to say, the easier you'll find these leaves are to do, and you're just kind of very loosely adding them on. At least that was the case for me. So let me know what you guys are experiencing. I'm just going to add some of the dark tips right away. and adding some nice variation of dark and light as we go along. There we go. And here, this is also where you can kind of bring in your number 8. And if you feel like, let's get some really nice lighter variations happening, just dip it ever so lightly into your blue and go for it. There you go. So now I'm just going to add the tips like I did previously in the other two. And also, while we're in this, I'm just going to go ahead, take the 8 and add more of the watermarks to extend this nice like dreamy kind of feel for the leaves. So again, you just need to find the areas where it is still damp and kind of have it guide the water in a direction. So there's one here, and these can just kind of go out. Yep. And so now finally I am doing my pinks. So I have a pink here, and I can even do some pink over here. Let's do over there as well. And then I like doing it at the very tip top. I just love the color, like the pink against this azure blue or green, blue, gray, green, whatever you want to call it. I think it's so pretty, and it's so not seen as much. It's just a nice variation to your regular things that you normally do, I guess, when you're watercolor painting. But yeah, so this is my rendition of some loose eucalyptus leaves. I hope you guys like this tutorial. It's very basic, very simple. You can kind of form your own little pattern design out of this. You could even frame it just as is. I know eucalyptus leaves are quite popular with a lot of people, so it might make a great gift. Or you could just add it to any of your floral combinations as you go along. So anyways, thanks so much guys for watching, and if you like this video, please feel free to share it in your social media circles. And I love hearing from you guys, and I love seeing your results. So please feel free to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and just interact with me, or even in the comments, just tell me what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching guys, and we will chat soon. Bye.